Let me help you.
Steve, I'm just setting up the meeting for YouTube live.
Okay. Did you ever send my name to those people?
Oh, wait, hang on a sec. We're getting double feedback, so that's what I'm saying. Hang on, we're setting up the YouTube, and I did, but then she said, "Well, can't we do it like right now?" And it's like, no.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna and I've been really busy the last few days, and you're out of town, right? Or are you
I'm
back?
home now. I'm home
Good.
now.
I didn't realize that you were already home. So, okay, so it is 7:30. We can officially call this meeting to order. It's at the moment just the three of us. Although Siobhan had said, if she comes, she comes. And oh, one thing I don't have sitting obvious. Hang on a sec. I'm going to share the agenda, and we'll, since it might be people on YouTube, we'll do introductions and all of that stuff. And Steve, are you able to see the agenda?
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'd like to welcome everyone and call this meeting to order at 7:31. This is the United Neighborhood Council's Planning and Zoning Committee, starting at a slightly later time than usual. And I'm sharing the agenda. I'd like to do some introductions. Again, my name is Laura Myers. I'm on the board of UNNC. I am its vice president, and I live in Angeles Vista. And with me here at the South Seas House is
Hi, everybody. I'm Teresa Masonet. I represent the West Adams Avenues on the board of the UNNC.
And on Zoom, we have
Steve Peckman. I'm living in Jefferson Park and have been a participant in this committee for about 20 years.
oh God, yes, it has been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for committee stakeholder voting participation, and it would be relevant tonight to some extent. The way UNNC is set up, for those who may be watching on YouTube, is that we have elected board members, and then we appoint committee chairs and co-chairs. And then beyond that, when the committees meet, whoever is participating, if they are a stakeholder to this neighborhood council, they're considered for the course of that meeting as voting members of the committee. Committees make recommendations to our governing board and not final decisions. And so what is a stakeholder? It's someone who lives, works, attends school, attends church, owns a property, owns a business in, or is otherwise is a community interest stakeholder. And that means someone who participates in a nonprofit 501c3 organization, which has a brick and mortar address within the UNNC boundaries. So we have an additional person with us now named Alphonse Carter. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, Alphonse, I'm Laura Myers. We've already done some quick introductions, and it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you do, and it's okay if you don't.
I'm Alphonse Carter, and I'm in zone zip code 90035. I was at the outdoor setting about 2 months ago. That's how you got my name. So I'm just joining in because I got the message on my email about the meeting tonight. So here I am.
Here you are. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
We also have
Siobhan O'Neill Schwenk. Sorry, I'm late.
And you live in?
I live in Region 4.
Which is Western Heights?
Western Heights. Yes.
Okay. So, okay, so I'm displaying the agenda on the screen, and we have, basically, this meeting is a year-end sort of status report and updates for cases we may have referenced or may not have actually referenced, but which are pending as we go into 2025. We're not going to have thorough discussions about all these cases, but just sort of a update as to, what they're about and where they're going. But we also have our usual follow-up to previous cases, or the early notification system, old business, it doesn't say new business. So we do have, Teresa wants to propose a community impact statement, and I think we want to do that first while we're bright and eagle-eyed.
Yeah.
Before we fall into the weeds of all these cases, if that is okay with everyone. So, and so on the, like I said, on the agenda, there's a whole dense number of cases, but I'd like to maybe let Teresa start, but we first really start with general public comments on any item that is not on the agenda tonight. So I'm going to stop the share and I'll bring it back up after we do our general public comments and after we do the CIS. And we'll explain what the CIS is, but first, does anybody have any general public comments on any item that is not on the agenda tonight, but which might be in the purview of Planning and Zoning Committee of United Neighborhoods? Steve.
Thanks, Laura. So I just want to thank UNNC and the Planning and Zoning Committee for providing a venue in which the community can have a voice in what happens in terms of construction and zoning and planning within our area. I think that we don't win a lot of cases, but I think the fact that we're able to provide the community with a voice and a place to air out issues and to meet with developers is really important. So at this end of the year meeting, I want to thank UNNC for providing that.
Thank you. I feel like we do. I mean, if we don't put it in terms of win and lose, I feel like we do end up influencing how our community is going to develop in most cases. So to lose means we were unable to achieve that goal and the case went forward and was approved anyway. I don't know that we've had that many such situations. So I hope not to have many as we go forward.
And if I could just chime in on what Steve said, Donna Jones is not here, but I know that she appreciates the opportunity to bring the cases like that happened on West Adams with the fence height being too high, and some other, not development projects, but other projects and issues that affect the avenues, and having a forum to bring it to get some resolution. So on behalf of her, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add one more point?
Certainly.
Which is, I also appreciate the fact that UNNC has taken a leadership role citywide in many of these issues, as illustrated by the development project in Windsor Village. I think that this is an important thing that neighborhood councils need to team together in order to address shared concerns. The city counts on us to be separate and individual in order to push these things forward. And I think where we have shared concerns across the city, it's imperative for us to come together as entities to show the city that it's not just a single one-off, but it's a shared concern. So again, I appreciate UNNC for taking a leadership role in that.
Right. So I have a general public comment that's not UNNC, but similar. I ended up getting 1 minute to testify, but participating in several in a row hearings related to the 1920s B'nai B'rith building that unfortunately was, not is, at Union and 8th Street. So it's not, just outside of the West Adams and sort of Pico Union, Westlake area. And what happened is it's an HPOZ, it's a historic, was identified as a historic building. Catholic Charities purchased it and then decided they wanted to demolish it because it wasn't part of the Catholic Charities mission, even though it was the historic building. I mean, they couldn't envision, well, I don't know what was going on in their mind, but what was clearly not happening was envisioning it as adaptive reuse to be used in their mission. Their building is next door. But the planning department, Office of Historic Resources, refused to clear the demolition permit because that's the rules. So they sued the city of LA. And there's a secret settlement back in March between the city council, the city attorney, and Catholic Charities. It's not been published. It's not been revealed. And the planning department received an order from the city attorney to clear the demolition permit.
Oh, wow.
And the Conservancy appealed. I mean, it's been going on for months, but in the meantime, it's been demolished.
Oh,
But the case went to zoning administrator. I mean, they're appealing and saying that, you know, this isn't right, but we don't know what's in the settlement. And it went to a zoning administrator, now was appealed to the Building and Safety Commission. They spent 2 hours saying, we don't like what's going on here. It's like, the appeal went to the Building and Safety Commission because it's the appeal of the issuance of the permit.
I didn't even know there was a Building and Safety Commission.
There is.
Who are the commissioners on that?
But although I'm saying this wrong, because that's not the final hearing that I went to, but I don't know, there is Building and Safety Commission, but then it landed finally at the Central Area Planning Commission. So not South LA, because it's a different region, it's Central. And that's who debated for 2 hours. And we're finally told by the city attorney they could not make a finding that Building and Safety acted in error because they were ordered, just as the planning department was ordered to issue the permit. So they didn't make an error to do so. So I don't know. I think this, I think it's going to go to a lawsuit. I don't really know.
But it's already demolished.
But it's already demolished. But the question is,
Was it done legally? Yeah.
No, it was done legally, but can that now happen every time? That's the question. You know, somebody doesn't like the idea that they've got a historic building, they just sue the city and the city settles and they have a secret settlement and then you demolish the building. That's the philosophical issue, because the building is unfortunately gone.
Can no one do a Freedom of Information request or records request? I think that's.
I don't know. I see Steve has his hand out. I mean, I don't know how to pursue it. I found the lawsuit on the Superior Court's public record, but not the settlement.
And I will tell you that I remember, sorry, Steve, just 1 second, seeing Catholic Charities, when those motions come out from the city, they always say, they make a notation that this will be discussed
In closed session.
But they had the city of LA, and it's like 20 of them.
Right.
And it had Catholic Charities, and I thought,
So that'd be that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was some molestation thing or something.
Oh.
Well, I mean, that was cute.
No, but the point is, anyway,
Yeah,
Steve,
that we don't know what it is.
that we don't know what the settlement. We don't know what is settled.
I think a FOIA request would be important, but I guess I'm kind of confused here. Why would they say Building and Safety was in error when it was the city attorney's office that mandated it be moved forward? It seems like the city attorney was in error.
Okay, so do you remember, Steve, the Tower of 29th Street case?
I can never forget it.
The so-called Tower of 29th Street. It's what triggered Ford in Jefferson Park to become an HPOZ, because someone built this 4-story straight up.
Well, it triggered CD10 to support the HPOZ.
It's triggered everybody to support the HPOZ. But the case actually, it was the same thing. It involved having to prepare a request for modification of Building and Safety something. It's a request to modify the action of Building and Safety in issuing a permit. So that's the path that this all followed, because that's a Building and Safety path. And it's a really strange path, because it's the same one that if somebody issues an order to you to remove your overheight fence, or, you know, or even something more mundane. And maybe you file it and say, no, you know what, it's not overheight because it's back 15 feet. And then the building and safety inspector can say, oh, you're right, and accept the modification. But if they don't accept the modification, then you have to file a elevated level of it, of your request, and you have to file it in the same physical office as the original thing was issued. So in the case of 29th Street in Jefferson Park, again, you might remember, they had gotten the permit in the valley. So we couldn't go to downtown. We had to go to the valley 4 or 5 times to keep filing and getting reports and then appealing the reports. So this has been going on. This case has been going on for some time, like that one also went on for some time.
But I don't recall with that one a city attorney mandate
No,
of
because
OHR or planning to change its decision. That to me is the principle and issue of concern here.
That's no, because in the end, there on that one, there was a ZA hearing, but the ZA said that building safety had erred.
Right. But that's the
case,
standard process, right? The ZA is the standard process to have the city attorney come in, you know, behind the scenes and then make a mandate of an agency to overturn a decision that's based in the existing rules, I think is very suspicious to say the least. And that's what needs to be looked at.
Right, and that's what the area planning commissioner spent 2 hours discussing.
Right, but their finding was against building and safety and not against the city attorney.
In the end, yes, that's right. In the end, well, because again, the trajectory of the case went from a building safety commission to the zoning administrator and then to the area planning commission. The crux of it was building and safety in error. And they kept being told building and safety wasn't an error because they were told they had to do it by the secret settlement that no one's seen. So I'm, you know, the concern now is, I mean, I'm concerned that the building is gone, but the concern is, can any developer go just buy a historic building that they want gone and sue the city to let them, you know, anyway, it's
depends on their relationship with the city attorney, clearly.
Oh, well, the city council approved this, so I mean, I'm just saying, it's not like the settlement was approved in a vacuum.
But the city attorney's action preceded the city council's approval. This is my whole point, is that the principle at play here is not any of this other stuff. It's actually the city attorney pushing an agency that's doing what's legally required to do the opposite. This is the issue. If the city attorney hadn't done that, the building would still be there.
Correct. And not only that, this is the same pattern we're seeing elsewhere. It's the same thing with, you know, 1848 Gramercy, which I'm not supposed to talk about, but the city attorney telling a commission or a group of commissioners they had to vote in a way that actually turns out to not be correct. I mean, based on a law that the city attorney misinterpreted. So
this is the same thing the city attorney did with oil and does in so many other places. It's hard to know what master the city attorney is serving. But there needs to be, you know, someone like CD10 should initiate among the council some kind of investigation of this city attorney process, because that's the illegitimate thing that's going on here. The rest are people, quote unquote, following orders of the city attorney, but it's originating in the city attorney's office, and that's what needs to be addressed.
Right, and it's also the city attorney not giving advice, it's the city attorney giving instructions.
Is this something we take up with Heather Hutt and say, hey,
yes. Yes.
Okay. So we have totally digressed from our agenda, but sorry. So perhaps this next agenda item where they say we need training, perhaps we need better training on the Brown Act and Robert's rules. So anyway, so is there any other general public comment? I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this one to go off for so long. Okay, Teresa, and which would you like me to pull up?
So a few weeks ago, every week the city submits motions that get distributed to city committees for a response. And many times it is a request for departments to provide additional information on the work that they do or to solve a particular problem. In this case, the motion went first to planning and land use, and it went to two places, and this was early in the year. I don't know why I went to transportation. Oh, there's a paragraph on transportation.
Oh,
I went to transportation first, and now it is going to planning and land use. And the paragraph that I think I would like for us to respond to is paragraph 1, where the council member requests additional information on the training that is provided to many departments, but in our case for HPOZs. They have limited training when they are appointed to their board, and unlike the neighborhood council where we have hours of training that's required, they do get some procedural training, and they do have to take gender training, but they do not have to take code of conduct. So I would like to recommend that we send a community impact statement. It is the way neighborhood councils put forth an opinion on city council motions. And I have drafted one for us, and if we could pull it up and take a look.
So
Sure.
this motion is in the agenda packet. And stop the share. Then
It really is just to, it is actually a report back from City Planning Commission to detail the training that is offered to all of these different entities. So I think the councilwoman, in this case was UNNC Hernandez, is looking for consistency on training for all commissioners in all the different capacities. And I just thought, because we do have 4 HPOZs, that it would be helpful for them to have some additional training. Yes, Steve.
Thanks, Teresa. I think this is great. Actually, CD10 has more HPOZs than any other council district in the city, of which we have 4 under UNNC. But I wonder if this should be expanded to the training of the actual employees of the planning department, and specifically OHR, not just to these commissioners.
Well,
My position is that the training of the people who are running the HPOZ boards are actually suspicious.
Well, I think all city employees are required to take a litany of training, code of conduct, the same ones that we're required, bias training.
I don't think they're taking code of conduct. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I'm not.
But
Well, it might be helpful to know what they're required to do. I'm just concerned about their proficiency in actually doing their job, overseeing the HPOZ boards. Regardless, I would second the motion to send this.
Right, so I'm raising my hand to say something. So you said an interesting thing, which is that CD10 overall has really the most HPOZ. So I think maybe we want to beef this up a little by saying that, and and as well, United Neighborhoods is in CD10, which has this many more HPOZs with this many more people. But I'm also, the underlying motion at City Council, the council file does mention as well the commissions, the area planning commissions, the planning commission. And I will say that a couple of years back, 5 years ago, it's just pre-COVID, I went on an appeal. This was eventually all overturned and everything came out fine. But I went on an appeal about the Korean Methodist Church in North University Park. And my presentation was about how this was really important to the heritage of the pioneer Korean community in Los Angeles. And it was they allowed me to do a long presentation.
let's break the door. Gavin. What's at the door?
Or his phone. Door. It's a door. Okay, anyway.
Hi, I'm Young Summers.
come on in.
This is Zoom meeting, right?
Yes. Come on in.
Yeah. I mean, Cliff Street.
Oh,
I'm sorry, which is.
yeah. Okay, come on in.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Anyway, I did this presentation and then other people also did a passionate presentation. And then they said, one of the commissioners said, this is like the best presentation we've ever had. It's really too bad you're not Korean.
Oh, wow.
I mean, and then they voted, yeah, no, I mean, it was like gender bias, not gender bias, but
Yeah,
racial bias,
Yeah.
that I shouldn't be the one giving that presentation.
I'm Korean.
I know,
Wait.
so you caught us right in the middle, this was, I had done a presentation about the Korean Methodist Church, the historic church in University Park,
Right.
from the pioneer Koreans.
My uncle built it.
Okay, well, there you go.
My uncle.
Really,
Yeah, when they first came.
yeah,
My aunt and, husband, my aunt, they went around saying the American church. They didn't have anything. They sang. She sang. She had a beautiful soprano voice, and he played piano. He minored piano in college and Princeton. So they performed. So they collected money, raised money
Right.
to build the church from ground up. And
Right.
the Americans helped him build.
a little bit,
Probably Florida. And then like after church was built, they asked him, where are you going to stay? They didn't have any place. So they have built a pastor's residence,
right?
So I passed by all the time. I was like, I never went there because I came long after
Right.
they did that. They both passed away, several years ago. And I looked at it always, it's my aunt's church.
So it's very historic, and it's now an actual city landmark.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, but at the time, this was, it's a case. So anyway, I think having commissioners take anti-bias training, because it was just offensive.
Yeah.
And it was, it's just offensive.
So,
And I'm sorry I didn't know you then, I would have brought you.
I'm so
to the
sorry.
hearing.
You know,
That it was 6 years ago.
Yeah. My name is Young Summers, by the way. Mickey, Mickey is the one who told me, go see Laura,
Oh, well,
She-
me.
I know, she knows how to help you. Because I'm
Okay.
very anxious about the building going up next door to mine,
Oh,
right next to it, tall building, so.
okay. Well, we're in the middle of talking about a community impact statement, but I would like to support not just, in other words, we can say we also support the commission, the rest of the motion. So,
okay. Okay, I'll make those two and then we'll present it to the board.
okay.
Okay.
So do we need to vote on this, or we're just passing along?
Yeah, I just, Siobhan, do you have any comments? Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna unshare this screen. And get back to sharing. For the moment, I'm gonna reshare. Always do this to myself. Reshare the agenda only because it has, the list of cases, and there may be more that are still.
Is your building, one of the buildings you're concerned about on this list?
I'm not sure, maybe not. Okay. Mine is 3440 West Boulevard.
West.
Yeah, it's like a small street between.
Right.
Exposition and
It's on the other side.
Right, it's on the other, that's okay.
That's not in our.
So it's not gonna be on this agenda, we can talk about it in,
Is it even in our bound?
no, it's in West Adams.
Okay.
So that's okay, we'll talk, but let's do what's on the agenda first.
Okay.
And then we'll come to ENS and,
Okay.
other cases. Okay, so basically, this is a year end or year beginning, depending on how you want to define that. We will not be having a meeting on January 1, by the way, if anyone thought we might, it's not feasible. It's just not. So, these land use cases that I had listed, they've been pending throughout 2024 but they're still pending as we go into 2025. So I just want to do some quick updates. So at 1828 Southwestern, there's the original case number has been withdrawn, basically the original case. And so the replacement case number is this complicated CPC 2024-4576 DB for density bonus, CCMP, which is a certificate case for the HPOZ, Price HPOZ. PR is in the new zoning code, it's replaced SPR. So SPR was site plan review. You see it right above. And PR is the new site plan review, but it's called PR. I don't even know why. I'm going to have to learn some things myself with the new zoning code. And then HCA is a Housing Crisis Act. So when you apply under the Housing Crisis Act, that is another density bonus kind of thing that basically signals to decision makers that as long as the project is consistent with the zoning, and as long as the project doesn't cause public safety or health impacts, that then they are required to approve it. One of the things the city attorney was giving bad advice on was that we're saying the city attorney, I mean, there's multiple city attorneys, but they all, there's a land use section. They had interpreted the Housing Crisis Act, so HCA cases, as if the case was approved, then it would be deemed compatible with zoning. But the California Supreme Court has now ruled that no, you have to be you can approve a case that's not compatible with the zoning, but you are not required. If it's not actually compatible with the underlying zoning, you don't have to. So that's a new thing. So they were giving the opposite advice.
Is this the doctor's office?
This is the doctor's office case. This is the Ross Medical Plaza complex. So there's a tall existing 8-story building that's staying. There's a building that's already been demolished and replaced by a car wash, which will be now itself demolished. And in the rear is another medical building. And this complex was the first medical complex owned by African-American doctors west of Mississippi. States where it's HPOV.
Thanks, Laura. I have a question about what you just mentioned about the HCA in this court case. Did I hear you correctly that the city is not required to override the existing zoning when it's an HCA case?
No, not quite. That's not quite what I said. The city attorney had interpreted the Housing Crisis Act, which was passed by the Sacramento legislature, had interpreted that it said that cities must approve any housing project so long as it's not unsafe, in other words,
I got that.
Public safety or health. And that otherwise the Housing Crisis Act required a yes vote. And that's specifically, I'm going to go just back to 1848 Gramercy. That's what the city attorney told the Planning Commission back
right
year and a half ago, that they had to vote yes, no matter what the guy was proposing, because, the Housing Crisis Act. So in that case, what he is still proposing is the zoning, the project he's proposing matches the zoning of Figueroa at LA Live, right? It doesn't match the local zoning. The local zoning is much lower. So it was wrong advice. What the California Supreme Court said essentially is, no, there's no automatic requirement that you must approve a case if it's not consistent or compatible with the actual zoning for a place. So in other words, Washington Boulevard and probably Jefferson as well, we have these CPIOs, right? So they say what the FAR, which is the bulkiness ratio on a building, what the maximum could be if it's 100% housing, or what the maximum it could be if it's got some incentives, what the height can be. I mean, these zones have limitations. So the city can approve a project that doesn't.
Yeah.
But
the
it's
city
it
is not
doesn't have
required.
to.
It's not required, right? And
Required.
so what's the
Not
remedy?
required.
What's the remedy? So for example, let's say Jefferson and Arlington project, the Burger
Right.
Palace project, is an R1 zone for the sake of this discussion.
Right.
So what's our remedy here? Is it, for example, retroactive? Is the remedy that it has to go before the HPOZ board? What's the remedy if it's not required?
But is it an HCA case to begin with? See, I don't even know. First of
Well,
all, it has to be
let's say it is.
right.
Because it
The
is
remedy-
100% affordable.
The remedy would be a CEQA appeal, number one. And I mean, that would probably be it. I mean, you still have to go through the processes. How do you get to the place? How do you get to it? So if it's deemed, if it wasn't a, okay, again, if you look at, I've got this up on the screen. If you look at the case number on this one that we're talking about, the first three letters are CPC. And then later on you see DB, density bonus. Well, both of those sets of letters means it's going to the planning commission. Right? So if you don't need, you can't appeal it to get it to the planning commission because it's going there anyway. But once it's there, it's not it's most often not further appealable, not because of HCA, but just because of other processes. But you can do a CEQA appeal. So the first question is how do you get a case appealable? Right? And the problem with the ED1s is that they were, quote, ministerial. So since they're ministerial, there's no way to appeal them. So I'm not answering your, so in other words, it's a different problem.
Yeah,
than-
so, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I need to read the Supreme Court case. Could you send me that citation for the case?
I can at least send you the article about it.
That would be great, because there may be an avenue here not only for Jefferson Park, but for Windsor
Right.
Village through that case.
Right. If they
Thank
were
you.
if they were HCA cases, and if that was the reason
Yeah,
that,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyway, this one's pending. And this one will be fully appealable anyway, because it's got a long string of letters and numbers and not a short string. The next one is just very simple. You know that as of July, the new restaurant beverage program is in full effect, and they have extended it actually, the application period into 2025, because it was supposed to end next week but not. So anyway, this is just a restaurant that's going to be allowed to serve alcohol. So I just wanted to include it. It's actually across the street. It's on the north side of Pico in Harvard Heights.
Oh, I was gonna say.
So it's really Olympic. It's really Olympic.
And Harvard Boulevard,
No, OPNC, the Olympic Neighborhood Council.
what's the cross street?
I think it's Ardmore,
Oh,
but it might be closer to Western.
okay,
But it's on the north side of the street.
okay,
It's not past Western.
okay, but we were just putting it there so we could know about it.
Well, it's very close. I mean, if you were looking at Zemus on the whole mapping system,
Yeah.
the little bubble is actually showing up within UNNC, but when you
Go
dive
in, you
into
can-
it, it turns out,
We wouldn't appeal this anyway, would we?
no.
Yeah.
No. I just wanted, this one's a simple one. It's not a CUB. See, it says ADM, it's administrative.
Okay.
So they're meeting the new alcohol beverage program. It has simple guidelines, and if you can meet those guidelines, you don't need to get a conditional use permit anymore to sell beer and wine inside the restaurant. If you can't meet them, then you have to go the full conditional use permit. So the next one is a case number ZA 2024-7062 CUB, which is a conditional use permit for beer and wine. And that's the Hidden History Museum. So we met with them on a consultation. And then they had said, or I think they said, they would even invite us, you know, we could have a meeting there, we'd take a tour, right? That didn't happen. And they filed the case officially in October. So they will be coming back to us for, you know, approval. So that'll be a case, you know, yes, Steve.
So as I
So
recall,
we don't get to vote on it tonight.
that's okay. As I recall in our last meeting, I think we discussed this case. And one of the outcomes of that discussion was that there was going to be an inquiry about what the current city requirements are for this kind of thing based on alcohol restrictions within South LA.
Art galleries, can it just be beer and wine?
Remember, we had a long discussion
Yeah,
about this.
no,
and-
I know. And then now the proposed findings are filed. I put the findings in our packet.
Oh,
I think I did.
But we were going to have
and-
someone come and talk to us, as I
We
recall.
have to have someone come and talk to us because the findings themselves are unusual.
Okay.
you say someone, do you mean someone from this?
Well,
organization or
maybe we
someone
wanted
from the
to-
city?
maybe we want to do both.
Yeah.
That's
Being
the
a
same-
city official, that's what we
Well-
discussed in the last meeting.
Okay,
And how this
but
request
my
is
brain has been a
consistent
little
with
bit of a
whatever
sponge
rules,
lately.
Yeah.
whatever it, we want to, one of the things we wanted to find out is how this application is consistent with the rules governing distribution of alcohol within South LA.
Okay, so
Right, because Karen Bass, before she became mayor and before she became a congresswoman, made
Yeah.
her name in dealing with these kinds of issues in South LA.
okay,
And there
so-
were previously restrictions on distribution of alcohol.
well, it was more on liquor stores, but you're right.
Right.
Not on things called museums or described as art galleries.
Right, I get it. But
Yeah.
we were going to get someone official to come in and educate us
All
about
right.
this.
Well, so therefore we will do that. But I need to check in with the whoever it is at the planning department whose case this is to make sure this is not on a fast track. Because it may be we have to do it at the same time as we have them back. Because, you know, what we don't want to do is miss the deadline for comment.
Having them at the same time may be actually preferable.
Right. Next one's also about beer and wine. It's the 7-Eleven at Western and Washington. They keep, you know, they keep asking to defer their visit to us. The case is currently on hold. That doesn't mean it's going away because I'm pretty sure that they don't want to yank the beer and wine out of the 7-Eleven. So I'm not sure why it's on hold, but the applicant is planning to come meet with us. And the commentary from the meeting we had without them, and as well ongoing in the community, is that this place is not clean. There's a lot of loitering. The inside's clean, but getting into it, and this has been going on for years. So we just, they, you know, we can't prejudge more than we already have. But yeah, but what can I say? Okay, and then there is in Harvard Heights, but nobody's here from Harvard Heights tonight. There was a presentation at the HPOZ, which may or may not end up coming to us. I think it's in 81, but I'm not sure because it's within the HPOZ now, so it may not be able to be an 80. Because they haven't applied yet, right? So it's a density bonus AB 2097 project, 6 stories, modular, 100% affordable housing, 73 apartment units, 0 parking. And
0 parking?
well, you're gonna hear that over and over again. It's an AB 2097 project, which is 0. This another state law. If you're within 500 feet of
Public transportation.
of a high density public transportation. So this would be like Venice and Westernish here. So there's, you know, Steve, I see your hand up, but by way of explanation, there's no way to object other than to, you know, I mean, there's another case that we have pending where they're gonna have a commercial space and no parking for it. That, you know, it's like, you're not gonna successfully rent it, but, without parking. But on 100% affordable housing, not mixed use, we can't object. Anyway, well, we can object, but it may not,
Yeah.
it has no traction. Steve?
Thank you for that clarification at the end, because certainly we can object. It doesn't mean that the
Right.
city needs to be responsive to it. The good thing
Exactly.
here, though, as I understand it, is that they have not filed the case yet.
Correct.
And so that means it should fall under ED1 Amendment 3 and the
Correct.
new requirement that it go through the HPOZ. So there are
Correct.
HPOZ things here that may be applicable. For example, the height of the building, the number of stories that may
Right.
be in play. But as far as parking goes, I agree, it's not going to be in play at all. But
Right.
certainly the building design and the number of stories may actually be an issue the HPOZ can weigh in on. However, I'll just make one caveat to that. Like this committee, it makes recommendations and not decisions to the board. HPOZ boards make recommendations and not decisions to city planning. And it's actually
Correct.
up to city planning to make those decisions. But I think it would be helpful for the HPOZ to weigh in on the size of the building and the look of the building. And I hope they do.
Right, so I did put in the packet online, the presentation as it was presented on December 11th. I didn't go to that meeting, so I do not know what changes the HPOC may have requested. So, you know, so I mean, I literally don't know. And I'm not sure how a modular construction building fits into an HPOC. Or is that simply the method of construction and not the method of design? And I don't know the answer. Excuse me. Okay, and then the next one, this case 2800 West Jefferson, so 20243112 DB and city bonus PR, you know what that is. Now it's site plan, and V vested HCA. We dealt with that already here. We had a books. Now I'm gonna. So cute. All right. Give me a moment. How are you guys? Unexpected. Anyway, we have a split decision out of the committee. So we're just taking this. This will be on the governing board agenda on January 9th. Without a recommendation from the committee. So, but that's an FYI. So, did anyone want me to pull up any of this stuff, or is this a good enough discussion?
Well, I think it's a great list. But
I've forgotten a couple.
Yeah, you omitted Burger Palace.
I did, and you know what else I omitted?
1848.
Oh no, well, I can't. Yes, but I actually forgot to do Wilshire Tone.
Oh, yes,
Wilshire Tone.
yeah.
Yeah,
That across from, between Wilton and Gramercy
on
on the
West,
south side.
right on Washington.
Yeah.
With all the backyards of Western Heights behind it.
Wait, that's my neighborhood.
Yes, it is. That would be your neighborhood. The towing operation, which has expanded into adjacent properties and withdrew their case. So I don't know what the status is. They withdrew the case. I don't know the case number. It's not on the agenda. But they withdrew the case but didn't withdraw their operation. So they're still operating in 2 adjacent parcels without any permits, permission, or zoning approval.
And
Have we requested as a committee that the board vote on a request to CD10 to weigh in on this issue?
Well, we voted to oppose the
can we
use.
file a complaint?
We cannot. Neighbors can, and don't know if they did.
But what about CD10 trying to
CD10
insert
could.
itself?
I think what happened here is that this imploded right when they were in the middle of the election. And so
Right.
I
So-
think they did, yeah.
She got
So
reelected.
what I don't
It's-
know is if the neighbors were quite angry. and collecting photos and things like that, but then didn't provide anything to me. And I don't,
Councilmember Hutt got reelected. I see no reason why she can't voice her concerns as representing her constituents on this longstanding issue.
Steve, you're absolutely right, but there's some baby steps that may or may not have happened. And that is the affected neighbors. I mean, again, we see, when I drive on Washington, I can see them parking in the middle of the street.
Oh, absolutely.
But the affected neighbors who are more affected than the aesthetics of that are the ones who live on the north side of 20th Street between Gramercy and Cimarron. And they had said they were going to take photos, do tape recordings, put in complaints. I haven't seen any of that actually happen, but it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but it's not been provided to us. So we don't have anything other than
is that an option for them to provide that information to us?
Yes, in turn, we give it to Heather, which was,
Okay.
but I just, they seem to be doing a lot by phone and texting, which is not gonna help, and I've talked to them, I said, it's gotta be by email, you have to send photos, you have to give me logs, I mean, you have to do something.
And we need to follow up because they are conducting business without a legal permit.
Correct,
And
but UNNC cannot file complaints and.
Right, but if they're conducting business without a legal permit, it seems to me our council member can weigh in on this without the community.
Well,
I mean, could we write a letter stating that?
saying what? That we don't need to wait.
Is
Yeah,
conducting business without the legal in violation.
We have an approved letter that listed all the problems that we did provide to Council District 10, but we simply provided it the day before, 2 days before the hearing that was canceled. But we could certainly massage that letter to say, by the way, you got this letter, but they withdrew the case, but they're operating anyway.
Right, can't we just follow up? You don't need a new letter,
Yeah.
just follow up with them and ask them what they're doing about it.
Right. Well, the original letter didn't ask them to do anything about it because there was a hearing for the next day that got canceled.
Okay.
So since the hearing has now been canceled,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
Okay.
I have do you have an update regarding Burger Palace? Do you know anything that's going on there?
No, they
Laura?
haven't. No, got nothing.
Okay.
I do have a interesting, it's not even an update on 3812 Adams, but really about Adams. So
3812.
that's the other ED1 project, but that's the one that Heather did a motion, but it's
next to the house.
yeah.
But
it's not-
on that.
But Adams, yes, but Adams Boulevard, which is Scenic Highway. So our state senator Lola Smallwood Cuevas is doing a motion, or already has, to create the South Los Angeles cultural overlay something. And Adams Boulevard is the northern boundary. It's from La Brea all the way to Central. And then south on Central and south on La Brea to somewhere. And it's mostly a cultural overlay, but Adams Boulevard being the northern portion. And I was invited to a conclave at the Wilfendale just last week. And 4 of the staff members. Lola wasn't there, but she had staff. So I said to them, well, could you, as part of this, since our problem with this, it is a scenic highway designated locally in the mobility and transportation element, but anytime anyone is protesting a case, the planning department is saying, well, it's not designated at the state level. So I said, so maybe as part of this whole motion you're doing right now, could you please designate it? It's a cultural scenic highway and you're doing a cultural zone. Could you just designate it? So they're considering it. I mean, I'm gonna put it in more writing And Karen Mack is one of the people behind this whole effort, if you know who that is.
thank you.
Right, do you know who Karen Mack is?
She's one of the commissioners.
Well, she's a she's city planning commissioner, but why she's city planning commissioner is that she's also the head of the organization called LA Comments. And they are a cultural and arts and land usey kind of organization. So she's the one very involved with the state senator. So I don't know if that helps, but it might not. I mean, this is gonna maybe happen slowly, so it might not help 3812, but you know, it's,
Where is 3812 now? So, I mean, Heather did oppose it, so what is?
so the planning department is supposed to create another report. And it depends if they take her opposition seriously, because I think they can go either way. I mean, it's up to them to create another report, but will they defy her or support her? We'll not know until. they do
Probably
something.
depends on which way the city attorney wants them to go.
You think? Okay, we are being recorded, but that's okay. All right, we're all getting tired. It's 8:30. And the only, I know, and we have a guest who's here to talk about, I mean, it would have been good in general public comments, but you're here. So we're moving on to our item 4, or back to general public comments. So if you'll tell us again why you're here.
Oh, I'm here because my immediate neighbor, they lost house to foreclosure.
Oh,
I live in a very small street, very narrow and single story, very small houses. Originally built for 2-bedroom and 1 bath, all very small. Although we are at 1 room in the back, you know, the front, the lot is very narrow. It's kind of long.
mhm.
And these people who bought the property apparently wanted to build at least 2 buildings in this lot, single lot. I mean, I had to call to find out, you know. It's like one is like a 3-story high in the front and 2-story high in the back. I wasn't really clear if he meant 3 buildings or two buildings, 2 units or 3 units. Anyways, at least 2, eh?
Yeah, the zone is, this is the case that Mika emailed me about saying. right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I received a letter from the Forever Properties. I think is the name of the
Developer?
yeah. And they just put like the FP, LL, something like that. Right?
I'll see.
It's so blank. I mean, the form was like certified too. And it kind of got me nervous. It's all left kind of blank and no name, but then the city sent me another letter later. And then there was like a name of the owner or the representative, whose name is Hamid, and phone number. That's when I called.
Oh, is that the demolition letter?
The one is this one and that one, and they stopped the sign overnight. I just happened to look at it, right? Like a shot.
Right, so Mika, who used to be on this committee and pre-COVID, but does live west of Crenshaw. And Steve says, she wrote an email to planning department officials because the land is very unstable.
Right.
In this section, and said that before you should approve anything, they should do a land report because it's you know where the Los Angeles River is now. It goes from the valley and then out to the ocean on the Long Beach side. But in 1860, it circled downtown and then came through Jefferson Park and by Expo and joined up with what we now call Ballona Creek. Well, it was called Ballona Creek then too, but it literally connected to Ballona Creek and went out to the ocean. So this is part of that former LA River bed. And yeah, so that's why Jefferson Park is so shaky in earthquakes. And so this is also that same. So I didn't see a response from the city. Steve, you have your hand up.
I'm sorry, I missed the address for the project.
Yeah, it's at 3400 South.
3440. 3440.
It's outside of UNNC, 440.
I get it, but
Yeah,
could
but
could
this
we
is also
share, could I
Uh-huh.
share screen so that we can call
Sure.
up a picture of the,
3440 south, west.
Sure,
But this is also an example that's when
Yes.
Steve mentioned about us supporting nearby,
yes. Exactly. Okay, Steve, you've got privilege.
okay, so it's 3440 West Boulevard,
South. Yes.
Southwest. Okay, let me
West,
call this
yeah,
up.
just West Boulevard, 34,
Yeah,
well, yeah. Or 34,
40.
yeah, 40.
So we are right in between, very
Mhm.
short block, very narrow, between Exposition and Jefferson. The
Oh.
Exposition is the railroad, I mean the metro, right?
right?
So they're really building up, and then
Oh.
the building is coming in the middle of
No,
it.
did you see?
No, Lord, they're lighting like this. What is it? What-
Yeah, I was like,
What-
yeah, they're planning to excavate 2 feet from the property line.
My line.
From our line.
Yeah.
Trees?
so is this the lot?
Yeah, is this correct?
Yeah.
The White House or the greenhouse?
greenhouse?
Mine is White House.
Yours is
Which
White
is
House.
the lot that will, which lot will be developed?
The one, is it,
The
right,
green?
mine is White House with the ramp.
Right,
With
it-
the next one, that
3440 is the
Is
green.
this,
skinny one, yeah, that.
that one is the one
The
that's gonna be
green
developed?
one.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
that's her
developed.
house.
That's
It's
my
right in the
house.
middle of the block.
It is.
So this,
Sally,
so
look
wait,
how
wait.
close it is to those trees.
And the narrow,
So
very
this,
so
so
narrow.
this green,
Yeah,
so
that
this
large tree in the back.
greenhouse, this
That's a beautiful
greenhouse
tree
will
back.
be knocked down and they're gonna put up a 3-story building in the middle of this 1-story block?
Yeah, three, not just one building. I
2
think
buildings.
3 and
2
2.
buildings. That's totally nuts.
And the other piece of paper we have here
That's
is
bananas.
That's
excavation
what they've been doing on West.
2 feet from the property line.
It's
This is totally nuts, and we should
So-
definitely be collaborating with the other neighborhood council on this.
Okay, did you hear what Steve just said?
We should be collaborating with what, Steve?
The other neighborhood council on this.
Yes.
Okay,
This is totally nuts, because if that can happen here, it'll happen in my neighborhood, it'll happen in your neighborhood.
Well, I can't, we have, an HPLZs, we have restrictions on that,
Right.
Steve.
You know.
Yeah, I don't, with the city attorney going nuts, I don't trust anyone. This is totally crazy to put 2 3-story buildings on this
That is-
lot.
okay, so the
Bananas.
driveway is your driveway with the
Yeah.
orange? So
Yeah,
the
the-
tree is maybe okay, but
We don't, well, listen, a tree like that, who
Yeah, I
knows
know.
how far the roots
I
extend?
know,
Actually, that tree is cut down just recently.
Oh, no, did you cut it down?
You know what? Yellow and brown, right? Overnight, it was like a 100-year-old tree.
Mhm.
And I loved it. Then somebody saw it's like, is tree there? I looked up. Yeah. And so everybody said that it's dangerous, it's gonna come down on your house. So it just happened. So I'm so sad and stressed out over
You
everything.
could have called the city to have somebody come out to determine if it had died or not, if it was dead or not.
well,
Yeah, but anyway,
it's coming.
everybody just, it's gonna come down, so I was worried that rain was coming soon.
right.
And because the ground is already soft,
Mm.
it's chipped, all the houses are cracked,
Mm,
all
Right,
the.
yeah,
leaning.
that was the problem that,
And then,
that meeting wrote, yeah, I wrote to the city about.
yeah,
That's why
So-
we had to pull ours when we moved in.
yeah,
We had
then,
to cut 2 of them. We had a tree in the back, we had a pecan tree, that's still there.
Oh.
But the previous owner had put in 2 white pines
mm.
and they were undermining our foundation. They hadn't been properly maintained, so we had to pull them, because otherwise they were gonna.
Okay.
Because the river went through these areas, including where my house is,
Right,
the soil is very, very sandy.
soft, right?
Yeah.
Sandy and
Very
soft.
sandy, and so, yeah, you'd have to excavate quite a bit to support a large building here. This is of serious concern, that's.
They
that
did say
this
only
would be
3
planned
feet.
here.
They're gonna excavate 3 feet
3
in
feet.
later.
That
So-
probably won't. support
That
the
won't
bill.
do it.
That won't do.
We won't do it.
Okay,
But
Teresa
that's, the
has,
excavation is the least of the worries. The
Well,
biggest
that's what I
concern
was
here
gonna
is,
say, there's gotta be some other,
the biggest concern
here
here is
besides-
putting a 3-story building in the middle of a 1-story block.
well, it does appear that the biggest concern at the moment of the neighbors, because again, I had another email about it, is in fact the destabilization of the land, because there was another piece of construction and everybody's home has cracked. So, so that is a big worry, as well as the aesthetic.
so the concern is that when they're
Doing
doing
the
excavation and constructing, just like on Adams.
Right,
That would affect the same, the.
right, different issues. Up on Adams, it's the methane pocket issue, but here it's literally the ground.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, the sand, because it's a sandy river, it's a riverbed, it's sandy. It's a, what, you know, in other words, on a liquefaction factor where they say 10 is the highest. Jefferson Park's 11, and probably so, I mean, 10 isn't really the highest.
So
What should we do?
right,
What can we do? Well, we can't do anything till January 9th, but do we want to reach out to the West Adams Neighborhood Council and ask them,
Yes.
they,
have you talked to the West Adams Neighborhood Council?
your own neighbor?
Actually, I'm the like one person, I had no idea what to do. I just got so
Here,
stressed out. I couldn't see it because I was just thinking of this tall building coming down on me or the,
Is there an application for this project?
and so I reached out.
I don't know, that I don't have good access to Zemus while I'm sitting here on my tablet.
Can you check Zemus while you're,
Right, because I'm gonna check the email I got, that I can do.
Steve, can you check Zemus?
I could try. I'm not very good at Zemus. I hate this thing.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
So,
Yeah.
So put in 3440 and then just put in west, yeah,
Sold on November 18th.
yeah.
See, we're all doing
there's the
research.
property. I want to look at permitting and zoning. No, I want to look at planning and zoning.
No, look under building permits, under
Case numbers?
permitting, I don't think there's gonna be a case number, I think you're gonna look at permitting and zoning compliance.
That's what he did, but he did. And then building permit info. Parcel profile, let's see. There's one permit information found. Time. Let's see this.
The most recent is
2018.
2018.
Oh, 2022. Wait a minute, Steve, there was something, 2024.
Oh, here we go. Installation of roof mounted AC.
That's it?
2024 demo. Here it is.
Yeah.
Building
Okay.
demolition.
Okay, here's the thing,
Permit hasn't been issued.
permit has
So I
not been
think-
issued, but.
Right,
I was
so,
gonna
but the-
say- Let me just say, Mika did not reach out to planning department people. She reached out to Heather Hutt people and mayor people. But
Okay.
not to the
planning.
planning department. And, but she is talking about, you know, the same thing, the sandiness, the soil underground. You know, there's people whose living room doors, you know, they don't close anymore, the rooms are slanted. She pulled a natural hazard report for her own
That's what-
property. And she wanted to ask that the city require that the new owners of 3440 also, you know, get one and present it. I don't know. Anyway, she says she works with West Adams Neighborhood Council's planning and zoning committee. So I can reply to her and say, will it be on that agenda?
Right, and that we
Yeah.
will support that, we'll, you know.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. But you know what scares me? Like the other side of Jefferson, West Urban, they always did that. They built like a tall building
Correct.
in middle of the streets. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're seeing that so unfortunately all over the place. But
Were we able to tell this is an ED1 project?
oh, I don't think it is. It doesn't say
So it's
81.
It's market rate.
Yeah, right, I mean, so there, I'm sorry, there's a demolition permit request, but not a construction request?
No, that's-
Pre-inspection only, not a permit for construction.
And that's the
Building
only
de-
permit.
Go back one,
Yeah.
Steve.
Okay.
And go back one more, Steve.
Oops,
No.
sorry.
You know, they're not supposed to be demolishing things without having construction
Yeah.
plans.
Go back one more, Steve. Because
Hang
there
on.
was a,
This
Okay.
thing is getting a little goofy.
Yeah, just click on Zemus, not backwards, just.
yeah,
on
I know, but
Zemus.
if he goes back one, that'll show because you can expand it.
Oh.
And there was a parcel number.
Parcel report,
Yeah, I can't tell, but then start over again, Steve.
just, yeah, click on the Zemus tab. If you're able.
You're not moving, Steve. Your mouse
How's-
is not.
Can you click on the Zemus tab?
Yeah,
What's
just let me stop share and restart it because it's not
Okay, it's
responding.
just frozen, got it.
Okay, I'll
okay.
reshare. Here we go.
There's no drainage on the street,
Right.
so you put a.
Is this the page you wanted?
I don't know what Teresa was wanting.
Oh.
Parcel
Interesting.
profile report?
Yeah, so we went into permit information, right? That's
Yep.
when we was, yeah, okay, yeah, let's go to the parcel just to see if there's. Sometimes there's something here, and then, okay,
Just
no,
scroll down,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's in a flood hazard, you can see that. See flood
Flood
hazard
hazard.
zone,
yeah, there it
And-
is right there.
and that again is because of the LA River pass.
Mhm.
Weirdly enough, the federal flood maps just changed because they're concerned that if the Hanson Dam, all the way out in the valley,
Mhm.
overflowed, it's gonna
It's gonna find that
it's gonna
natural-
inundate on the natural riverbed, yeah.
Earthquake induced liquefaction area,
Yes, same-
yeah.
Yes, same thing I said, so this is not a place where you want a 3-foot foundation,
Yeah, that's for sure.
okay?
So, I think what Laura is saying is that the West Adams Neighborhood Council. Their planning and land use will have that on their agenda for discussion.
We
And then-
hope.
Yeah, well, we hope Laura's gonna reach out to them to see if they, and then we can support that with the letter, we can attend the meeting to, support that. And it seems like Mika has reached out to Heather Hutt, our city council representative.
Yes, and she reached out to Jonathan, who I think might be the. Jonathan
On that
Mitchell,
side, yeah.
right, and Heather,
What
and
about
then
Hakeem?
she didn't put Hakeem on the email, so I can forward it to Hakeem and Andrew.
Yeah.
And she reached out to the Dion Arias from the mayor's office.
Oh, yeah,
From
that's.
the
what
new
I'm saying.
southwest area,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do, I mean, it's like.
Well,
Well, it's still
Well,
not done,
yeah.
because they could just, instead of doing three stories, they just do 2 stories and still,
Right.
try to get around it. So,
okay,
At least I can, have somebody else listen to me,
yeah.
it's like.
okay, well, I told Teresa we probably could be out of here early.
I know.
Trying, but is there anything else, or may we adjourn?
I'm good too.
Okay, I know, turn off the YouTube.
All right, thank you, Laura. Kate.